In this video, we are going to once again, part 2, be discussing artificial intelligence being used to build a Power BI report. Again, utilizing artificial intelligence to build a Power BI report. As you can remember, in a previous video, we were discussing how we could utilize artificial intelligence, and we primarily use ChatGPT. I am getting a feedback. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit. In a previous video, we were using ChatGPT to build a Power BI report. We used it, 1, to build measures for the Power BI report, and 2, we use it to get a design to build out and to give us an example of a design to get us started in building the Power BI report. In this video, we are going to kind of piggyback on that just a little bit, but we're not going to be using ChatGPT, but we are going to be using artificial intelligence. I'm going to jump right over here, and what we're looking at here, I've got it titled Power BI Report Builder Assistant. This is not actually a Microsoft Power BI Report Builder Assistant. This is actually a assistant that I created using artificial intelligence, another form of artificial intelligence. However, really doesn't matter. Just understand that I used artificial intelligence to build, so I used artificial intelligence to build this Power BI report, this Power BI report builder. What does that mean, T? What that simply means is this. If you need a jump start, just as we did before, we used ChatGPT to give us an example of a Power BI report to build. We used that as an example. We started building our Power BI report. We wanted to create some measures. So we created some measures using ChatGPT to get us a jump start in building our Power BI report. Again, this does not mean that we have to use the exact example. It does not mean we've got to use the exact measures. It just means it gives us a start. If we're having a brain fart and we're saying, hey, I don't even know where to start. What do I do first? We use ChatGPT, we built out an example, and then we use ChatGPT and we built out measures, and we got a jump start on the report. In this particular case, same scenario, not necessarily utilizing AI to give us an example, but to give us, well, it is giving us examples. It's giving us examples to 1, create measures, and 2, is giving us examples to determine which visuals we want to use. So again, I want to emphasize this is not a Microsoft product. This is an actual product that I created, that I provide to members of the CTO community when they are in the Power BI 16-week course, Power of the BI. Now, with that said, that's simply a shameless plug. Power of the BI is a shameless plug, and I'm not too ashamed to admit or too ashamed to plug it because it is my course. But this is what I also provide to my students, to my mentees, when they're building out Power BI reports, when they go on and they get these jobs and they're saying, hey, what visuals do I use in order to build out my report? So basically, with this report builder assistant, basically you already know the names of the name of the table you're going to use, or the names of the table you're going to use. In this particular case here, it's only built out for 1 table, but you know the name of the table that you're going to use, the table that's in your data set. You know the columns that's in your data set. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to list in this particular report. Let's see here. In this particular report builder, we are listing out all of the columns. Here we're listing out all of the column names in the report builder. We're listing out all the column names in the report builder. This is the same Power BI report. This is the same data set that I used in the previous artificial intelligence video that we had previously. The same data set. I just wanted to see what would be the different visuals that we would get utilizing a different artificial intelligence source. So of course, initially we used ChatGPT. In this particular case, I'm calling it the Power BI Report Builder Assistant. Again, given that Power BI is a Microsoft product. This is not Power BI. This is not a Microsoft product. This is not something that I sell. I'm not even trying to resell it or anything like that. This is just something that I provide as a tool for my students, my mentees, and those that have moved on into the corporate space and want to get a jump start on building out Power BI reports. So here in this particular assistant, all we have to do is input the names of the columns. We're going to input the names of the columns. What does that do, T? Well, when we input the name of the column, the assistant, the AI assistant, it pretty much guesses, it predetermines what data types each one of those columns actually are by their particular name. Now, with that said, just as in Power BI, when we build out our data models and when we bring in the data sets into Power BI and it gives us the automatic automatic built relationships in our data model, we know that we need to go in and we need to deselect all of those relationships and make sure that those relationships are built by us and that we are building out those relationships ourselves. Same scenario here. We input the column name, and based on how I built this Power BI report builder assistant, based on how I built it, the name of the column gives the machine or gives the app, because that's what it is, it's an app that I built. It gives the app an idea of what type of data type the actual column is. So as we see, for age, we got a whole number. For competitor X, competitor Y, competitor Z, we have text. For customer reviews, we have text. For foot traffic location, we have a whole number. We're gonna start out with a whole number, but I'm actually gonna change it later because it could actually be foot traffic location is gonna be text. Foot traffic hours we have as a whole number, but foot traffic hours actually could be a fraction of an hour, so we'll change that later. Gender, of course, we have as text. Income, we will have as a decimal. So based on the column name, the app is determining what the data type is. Again, we as Power BI developers have to go in and double check, or we have to go back and double check to make sure that it actually makes sense. Because if customer X, Y, and Z had came in as whole numbers, would that really have made sense? Maybe, but probably not, okay? Could have, but I doubt it, right? Product margin, product A margin, product B margin, product C margin, product D margin. We know that margin is a number. It's a percentage the majority of the time. So that's going to be a decimal number. Product A units, product B units, product C units, product D units. We know that units is going to be a count. Is it a whole number count or a decimal count? Well, it really depends on the industry. It depends on the business. It could be a whole number, it could be a decimal. In this case, we're going to call it a whole number. Let's see, promotional effectiveness. Promotional effectiveness, it could be ranked as a number. It could be qualified as a number, or it could be qualified as a text. It just depends, because it could be yes, no, or high, low, medium as far as effectiveness, or it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.23 or 1.56 or whatever the case may be. So we just have to go back in based on what we know about the actual data and make the changes to the data type. But what this does, it gives us a jump start on building out, it gives us a jump start on building out visuals for a particular report. In this particular case here, it's going to actually give us, once we list out we give it the columns and it gives us the data types, we go back and now we're making changes as to do we want a margin to be a decimal? Do we want it to be a whole number? Do we want income to be a decimal or a whole number? Market share, do we want that to be a decimal or a whole number? Once we go back in and we double check and we say, hey, yes, we've got this exactly how we want it to look. Then what it's going to do, we're gonna click analyze, And then what it's going to do is the app itself, when I say it, the app itself is going to spit out the dimensional columns, the fact columns, and the measure candidates. And pretty much the measure candidates just means, do these items or objects qualify to be measures, right? And then once we click submit and click analyze, it is going to give us several different visuals. In this particular app, it's going to give us up to 10 visuals. Now we can go back and we can resubmit this as many times as we like, and we can have 10 visuals, we can have 20 visuals, we can have 22 visuals, 25, 30, it doesn't matter. But in the initial run, it's going to give us up to 10 visuals. In addition to that, it's going to give us up to 10 measures that we can use. And I think in this particular video, I am more concerned, not necessarily concerned, but I like to spend more time on the measures than I do on the actual visuals, because in the last video, when we were actually creating the examples from ChatGPT and creating measures from ChatGPT, we actually spent a lot of time on the visuals. But here, I want to make sure, we spent a little time on the measures as well, but I want to make sure that we are spending time on the measures and understanding what that really looks like. And really just how simple it is. Now we're gonna see, we've got a couple of measures that could be a little bit more advanced, but like I say, most of the time we don't normally have to use 4, 5, 6 lines of code when it comes to Power BI. Typically we're talking about one line. Oftentimes we'll see 2 lines of code, but simply it could be the sum equals and then the code being at the bottom, the remaining of the code being on the second line. So we're gonna see some of that here. But now, as you can see, we've analyzed it, and now we are seeing we've got visual number 2 can be a line chart. Visual number 3 can be a clustered column chart. But in the dark areas, we're seeing that those are measures that can be used for those particular items. Now, I'm definitely not gonna say that you have to use the exact same measure for each one of the visuals, because you can use you can use the measures for different visualizations. These are only samples, not even recommended, but it's just suggested. If you don't know what visual you want to use, here we're saying visual number 5, use a donut chart. Visual number 4, use a bar, the top 10 bar chart. But as you can see, we have measures that we have suggested. Now, the one thing that we didn't input in this particular app is the name of the column. We did in the name of the data set. I'll probably go back and revise this app so that you can actually have the name of the data set as well, because by you not having the name of the data set, what you have to do is you have to make sure you've input the name of the table. Given that we don't have the name of the table in the input, that makes it one more step that we have to do each time we create a measure, which would be going in and placing in the name of the table. But with that said, by the time you get to this, because 9 times out of 10, there are only a limited number of individuals that have access to this app itself. So I know the majority of the YouTube world does not have access to it. So by the time you get access to this, I would have already revised the app, and then that step of adding or revising the table name will have already been taken out and replaced, so that once you put the table name and you input the columns, it's going to actually spit out the actual measure that you're going to be using. But here, what I want to emphasize here is we've placed in the columns, and now we have the columns, and now it has spit out up to 10 measures, and it has spit out up to 10 visualizations that could be used based on these columns. But the most important thing to remember, whether you have the table name, whether you input the table name and the column names or not, you want to make sure that the data type, you want to go back and make sure that the data type is the correct data type that you're looking for. Because now we could say, hey, but here's the thing. We could create an app and then that app includes all of the data types as well. But that takes a long time. So that's where we go in, and we like to use artificial intelligence to make that intelligent decision whether or not we have used, whether or not the data type that we have for the column, artificial intelligence is determining and assigning that data type. But we have to go back and we have to double check artificial intelligence, whether it's this particular report builder app that I created, or ChatGPT or Claude or anyone else. We have to make sure that that data type is correctly assigned to the project. What I would like to encourage you to do is scan the QR code. Scan the QR code and join our community, the community of CTOs. Join our community of CTOs. All you have to do is scan the QR code, follow the link, put in your email address. It automatically makes you a member of the CTOs. What does becoming a member of CTOs do? One, it gives you access to our app. We have an app in the community of CTOs. We have an app that's only provided by Power of the BI that our CTO members have access to. Our CTO members have access to this app, and what does it do? You're able to find jobs, you're able to communicate, you're able to share information. Only members within the CTOs have access to this app, right? Only members of the CTOs have access to this app. In addition to, you get access to our free weekly webinar, which is held every Thursday from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, that's a free webinar, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time every Thursday. But again, you have to be a member of the CTOs. In addition to, we have videos, free videos just like this out here on YouTube, Power of the BI, and at the CTOs, and at the CTO-Shorts. Again, it's at Power of the BI, is at the CTO, and is at the CTO-Shorts. Free videos where you can learn information just like this. You can learn Power BI just like this by watching these videos. In addition to, we have a list of suggested and recommended equipment that you can use to build out your Power BI office, from computers to desks, the whole nine. Now, I'll be totally transparent. Some of the equipment that's offered, if you purchase that equipment, I do get some benefit from it because I am an Amazon affiliate, but I don't want you to use that against me because I'm only trying to help. There's a lot of things that you get when you're a member of the CTOs. In addition to, we got a two-day Power of the BI Live that's coming up in Dallas. We got a Power of the BI Live that's coming up in Dallas. Listen, join the community of CTOs and find out about all these things that we've got going on. Now, back to the video. Now, what I want to do here is I want to come in and I want to actually bring in the Power BI report. And as you can see over to the right, we have the actual table that we used in the initial Power BI report that we used for the ChatGPT report. So if you have access to that report, if you have the data set for that report, you are able to go in and you can make these changes as well. Now, what I'm doing here is I did remove all of I removed all of the visualizations, and I removed the measures that we used for that particular report. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to try to build out a lot of different type of visualizations as I did in the initial report that we used with the ChatGPT example. I just want you to see that when we created the, using the app that I created, and the measures that were kicked out were generated due to the columns that we placed in, we're going to use those measures and we're going to see what those different calculations are. Now, we have several different columns here. I mean, not columns. We have several different key KPIs that we're using. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just setting this up so that we can look at the calculation of how those measures were created and the actual calculations of the measures. Then what we are going to do is we're going to do some slight formatting of the different KPI cards. The reason why I want to do that is because oftentimes we kind of not necessarily don't realize, we kind of skip over the fact that we can actually format our KPI cards just as well as we can format any other visualization. But the KPI cards typically are so simple, so easy to just drag and drop that we kind of forget, like, hey, you know, we can do some formatting here and make this thing a little bit, not necessarily cleaner, but just a little bit more visually appealing, right? Just a little bit more visually appealing. So what we are doing here is we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe we have, so we had 10 measures that we created using the app that was created. So I know we can create up to 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We've got 12 here, so I know that that's too many. We'll take some of those out here in a minute. But all I'm doing here is I'm using the measures that was created, that we we created over in the app builder. And now I'm just dragging it into KPIs. I'm just dragging and dropping those measures over into the KPIs. Of course, I could just drop them into the actual columns that they're under the visualizations, but I'm just dragging and dropping the measures over into the KPIs. Now 2, 4, 6, 8. We've got 12. What I'm going to do is I am going to delete 4 of these, and we're just going to work with 8, because whether we're working with 8 or we're working with 10, we're working with them the same way, right? So now what I want to do is I want to show you here that we could show you how I would format the different KPI visualizations. Again, these are only cards. These are only cards, and all we're doing is we're just going to format these cards. I believe I already have them all the same size, and the reason why I believe I have them all the same size is because I just copied and pasted. Now, where we are going with this is, let's see, we have 0.25. What I really want to do is, one, I want to align these cards so that they distribute horizontally. It's going to give us the visual aesthetics that we're looking for. I'm going to want to make sure that the card that is above the card below, that they're lined up equally with one another, or directly above or directly below, however we term that. So as we see here, I'm just playing with the alignment a little bit, trying to make sure that they're lined up, and I'm setting them equal based on how the red dotted lines are showing that they are lined up horizontally. I'm going to go to effects. We've got background, and we've got colors here, visual border. I'm going to turn the visual border on, and I'm going to make all of the rounded corners to be 8. I like for the rounded corners to be somewhere around 8 and 10. 8 is pretty simple. 10, you know, is about the max that I would go for the rounded. You know, once you get past 10, I mean, it really becomes round, almost like a circle type. But we just got rounded corners, so I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna round out all the corners. What I'm pointing out here is when we have visuals that are the same visuals for different, when we have multiples of the same visual, if we select the visual and then we do the formatting, we don't have to go in and find the formatted location. For instance, I click in the KPI and I click into another KPI, it's gonna take me to the exact same location that I already am in when it comes to that visualization. So now all I have to do is just go inside of each one of the visuals, each one of the cards, select each one, change the rounded corner type, and it's so much faster. Now, if we were doing this and it was a KPI and then we went to a bar chart or to an Excel, a bar chart or to a line chart, then it would be to the point to where we would have to go back in and click format and then find the changes that we want to make, and then make the changes and then go to another visual. But having the exact same visual, all we have to do is click inside the visual and that format is already there for us. Now, all I'm doing here is I'm aligning it. I'm saying align, we're gonna distribute horizontally. So now when we say distribute horizontally, they're exact spacing apart from one another. Now, what I wanna do here is I am going back in, I'm going into shadow, and for these cards across the top, I'm just showing that, hey, we can do a little bit more formatting, and we can add some different forms of visual appeal to it. And here we just got a drop shadow in the back. So now we can compare the top row of cards to the bottom row of cards, to where the bottom row of cards don't have drop shadows, but the top row does have drop shadows. Now, what I'm doing at the bottom is a little bit more formatting, but I'm adding a border around the cards at the bottom. So now the cards at the top don't have borders, they have drop shadows. The cards at the bottom have borders, but they don't have drop shadow. So again, we're simply now just looking at how we can format the cards. And in most cases, we can format many of our visuals the same way. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just moving the cards to the bottom. I'm going to bring them back up to the top. But what I want to do is I want to put a background behind the cards. I want to put a background behind the cards. So I'm going to say insert shapes, and then I am going to pick the rectangle shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that rectangular shape on the first and second row. So that shape is going to cover the first and the second row. So now, by doing that, what I want to do is I want to show you that we can add a little bit more design to this by placing the cards on top of the inserted shape. So once I place the cards on top of the inserted shape, then you'll see that the cards are going to fall behind the inserted shape, because the shape is going to be on top of the card. But we are going to fix that, because what we are going to do is we're going to go in, and then we are going to format that shape as well, and then we're going to send it. We're going to send this shape right here. We are going, well, first of all, let's see here. Let's go to send backwards. We're going to send it to the back, and now clicking out, we can see now the cards come back out on top of the cards. So now we've got cards where we have 4 cards with drop shadows, we have 4 cards with borders, we've got 4 cards with a background. Let's see here. So I'm just going to spread out the shape just a little bit so we can have a little bit more space there. And now we see that we have cards as indicated. We've got the 8 cards. We used 8 out of the 10 measures. We've got 8 cards. We've used 8 out of the 10 measures. Now what I also want to do is let's look at a little bit more formatting. Let's put background colors on some of the cards. So we're going to put a yellow background color here on 2 of the cards, and we are going to put a let's try a green background color on this card, and let's try a red background color on this bottom card. Then what we are going to want to do is we're going to try green. We'll try green again. What we're going to try to do now is we are going to change the color of the text. So we're going to format the text color of the value, the call out value. So we're going to make this one white, and then we're going to come back in. We're going to come back over to the next card, and we are going to make that card have a white value. We're going to come back here, and we are going to make this value, we're going to make this value blue. And as you see, just by clicking the next card, it automatically takes us to the formatting location that we're already located. And now we're going to make this value red. So all I'm showing you here is how to format various cards, format the cards in various ways. Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. Multi-view. So that is our lesson on AI, on the artificial intelligence app that I created that my students have access to make creating a Power BI report much, much, much simpler and faster. In addition to, we were able to learn a couple of different formatting tricks when it comes to formatting, not just visuals, but more specifically, formatting KPI cards, KPI card visualizations. With that said, thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.